Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the GOTALKTO English podcast. Today, I am your host, Teacher Emily, and we have a very fun special topic for you today. So we asked our students and our teachers from all over the world what crazy or interesting things they've heard about the United States. And as your resident American, I'm here to tell you whether it's true or not, or at least give an explanation behind it. Our very own teacher Melody dropped by to give her question. Let's see what she had to say. Right. Well, that's actually not true. While bread is very popular here in the United States, it's completely up to each person whether or not they want it over rice. In fact, most Americans will probably eat bread and rice in the same meal. But there's a couple of different reasons why bread is so popular. So there are actually a couple of different reasons why bread is so popular here in the United States. For example, if you were to go to a place like Japan, where rice is popular, you'd see that a lot of the land is farmed or cultivated to grow rice in rice paddies. Well, the same thing applies for the United States. Almost every state in the United States grows wheat, and so we have an abundance of bread. Another reason is because it actually comes from an old tradition where taverns would sell bread before their meals. This is actually kind of a little sneaky tactic to make people full so they wouldn't eat up all the good stuff like the meat. Let's take a look at all of our other questions submitted by you from all around the world. Ask the American. All right, our first question. Do Americans actually stand up and salute to a flag every day at school? Well, short answer, yes, we do. It's a little strange, and a lot of people outside of the United States think it's a little weird, but let us know what you think. This is what it typically looks like. Yeah, it's pretty much a really big and important routine here in the United States. And we love our patriotism and to show our love for our country, so it's really normal for us. Next question. Do Americans work all the time? Short answer, yes. Compared to most countries in the world, the United States is one of the few countries that does not offer any mandatory vacation time, which means that there's no laws in place that say that you have to have vacation. Vacation time is something that's very, very valued here in the United States because, well, we have to work really hard to earn it, and most of the time we're too busy to use it. We do work a lot, but, well, I have no excuse. If you look, this is actually what our normal United States vacation time kind of looks like. Depending on how long you work with a company determines on how much vacation time you get each year, usually. So with a year worth of employment, we can expect about 10 days, and it slowly increases until 20 years of working with the company, you earn about 20 days, which is quite shocking to many people, especially places like Europe and Central America. Next question. Americans only care about the prom, spring break, and their wedding? Short answer, no. While these are very common celebrations and activities shown in the movies, it's not the only thing that we care about. In fact, it's actually kind of a joke that people who are obsessed with these traditional celebrations are a little bit crazy. They usually don't have a lot else going on or looking forward to. For instance, our high schoolers prom, it's the most exciting thing that we can really do. It's a big fun party where we get to dress up in colors and go dancing, and it's just a lot of fun and a chance to do something a little different. Same thing applies with spring break and a wedding. These are considered once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, so why not make a big deal out of it? A serious question. Americans are racist and hate foreigners? No, this is a very, very big misconception about Americans. And truth be told, much like in any other place around the world, people who are like this are not considered good people. While the United States does have some history with racial tension and discourse, there are lots of good people around in the world who are working very hard to strive away from those bad, bad, bad roots. Americans know nothing of the outside world. Ouch! That kinda hurts. However, it's only slightly true. You see, here in the United States, we usually focus on things, well, involving the United States. We do learn about things like social study and geography, although it's mostly generalized to make sure we're aware that the other countries are out there and they exist. When it comes to cultural things, religions, or basically anything that's not American, we usually don't learn about it or discuss it very in depth. Our news is very heavily American. Our TV shows are very heavily American. And so most of what we absorb is American. But there are many, many people who are very invested and they celebrate in the cultures and traditions that come from these other countries, and that's how we get our exposure. It's actually a beautiful thing, and it's what makes America so wonderful and great. So many diverse cultures being able to exist in one place. Americans celebrate anything. Yeah, this one's pretty much true. We are very festive and we love to have any excuse to throw a party, celebrate with friends, and have a good time. A lot of companies in America use the holidays to promote business and to make profits. That's why when you go to stores, you'll often see entire aisles dedicated to seasonal items like Easter baskets or Valentine's Day cards, or even just an aisle full of green things to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. And some Americans even throw parties to celebrate gender reveals and even sometimes divorce. Just like the movies, Americans don't shower or brush their teeth after meals. No. So there's actually a really good explanation behind this. It actually is for movies to save money and to save time on how long the movie is. They usually don't show scenes like people brushing their teeth or going to the bathroom or showering. Why? Well, for the most part, these are things that everybody does within their normal routine. So it's usually implied that that's what's going to happen. We don't need to see it. If you were to watch many of our American kids shows, or at least many English kids shows, you would see that a lot of their lessons revolve around these hygiene principles of taking baths, brushing teeth, getting cleaned up before bed, things like that, because they're so important to us. Yes. Poverty does not exist in America. They're all rich. Absolutely not. Unfortunately, contrary to what the movies say, we're not all rich and driving fancy cars and big gigantic houses. In fact, you can find that there are 6 different types of poverty here in the United States. The first we have is absolute poverty. This is someone who doesn't have a house, who can't afford food, or can't afford to go to school. Then we have relative poverty. This is popular for a lot of Americans. These are people who are not able to take vacations either because they can't afford it or they can't afford to not work. These are people that might not be able to afford Christmas presents for their family, and people who aren't able to afford to go to university. Then we have situational poverty, which is what a lot of Americans are facing right now due to the COVID-19 pandemic. This is usually temporary, caused by a loss of job or maybe a death in a family or just unfortunate circumstances. Then we have generational poverty. This is poverty that you inherit from your family. At least 2 generations have been born into poverty, and it's very hard to break that cycle. Because remember, you can't afford an education to get a good job. You can't afford a place to stay that's comfortable so you can get a good night's sleep. And so it's very, very despairing sometimes. Then we have rural poverty. Now, rural means small. It means places that are opposite of big cities, small towns, villages, if you will. In places in areas like this, there might not be a lot of places to work. There are less job opportunities and even access to services like public transportation. Because of these obstacles, it may be hard to make enough money to support yourself or your family. On the other hand, we have urban poverty. These are big cities with so many people that it's really hard to make sure everybody's okay and taken care of. Oftentimes, these places are overcrowded. Sometimes they're very, very dirty, and it's very hard for people to get access to anything. Americans are crazy about guns. Pew, 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 pew. This is actually a very common stereotype that you'll see in a lot of television and movies. But the real answer is no, we actually aren't. In fact, only 1/3 of the population of the United States owns a gun. There haven't really been any changes to our gun laws, and they're fairly easy to obtain. And oftentimes, America gets a bad reputation for being so violent with gun crime. The United States often gets a bad reputation for being a very violent, gun-toting country. But the truth is that we ranked 28th highest in deaths by gun violence, I think as of 2018. So there are a lot more places that are worse. The reason why Americans are so passionate about guns is because they want to protect themselves. Americans only eat fast food and takeaway? No. For the most part, while it's very common, it's not the only thing that we eat. We already talked about how Americans are so busy and they work pretty much all the time. So it's really easy to stop by the drive-thru or pick up meals that are already prepared and ready to eat. As far as the takeaway, it's no secret that the United States loves big portions. When you go to restaurants, you're often served these large, exquisite meals, and there's so much food that most normal people cannot finish it all in one sitting. But you'll find that most Americans on a budget will prefer to prepare their meals at home, especially if they're trying to eat healthier or make just better food decisions. While we're on the subject of food, it's also a popular misconception that Americans don't like really spicy food or chilies. And that is also not true. In fact, hot spicy food is such an important cultural aspect of Southern America. They often have competitions to see who can make the spiciest food and the most delicious, exotic, flavorful things. It's really exciting, and it often has to do with cultural background. Most traditional American food is considered bland and tasteless. However, a lot of people bring their cultural meals that they have with their families, and if someone is used to eating spicy food at home, well, They're more likely to share their spicy food with their friends, who are more likely to fall in love with spicy food. So it really just depends on what people are exposed to and what they like. Well, that pretty much wraps up today's session with our English podcast. I hope you learned tons of interesting things today. Do you have any questions that weren't answered? Feel free to comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to us on all social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. By the way, are you a native English speaker? Do you have any questions for maybe our other teachers around the world? We feature many different language courses in French, Italian, Spanish, you name it. What are some mysterious traditions or rumors that you've heard about other places? Once again, this has been Teacher Emily from Go Talk To, and I hope you enjoyed today's English podcast. See you later!